Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on my channel. I'm Adam, and this is another Beast Quest ranking video. I have not done one of those in a while. So today I'll be ranking the top 5 most overrated and top 5 most underrated seasons of Beast Quest. So what the term overrated means is a series which is very popular, and whether it's with the beast, the story, or just everything about it, but I'm thinking it doesn't deserve as much love as it gets. And underrated is the exact opposite, where it's a season with either a mediocre story, not very good beasts, and I think it deserves more love, so more appreciation. So with that, this is obviously my opinion. Now I got two piles of books here. One on the left of me, one on the right. On the left are the top 5 overrated seasons I've chosen, and the right top 5 underrated seasons. I will be showing each season one after the other, so it's overrated, underrated, overrated, underrated. Fifth overrated, fifth underrated, fourth overrated, fourth underrated, so on and so forth. To explain how I'm going to be showing these, each book will be the finale of each series, and also it'll be the finale of each series, and I'm going to be going on mostly beast perspective, but also the story perspective as well. And also I will say there is actually no season which I'm mentioning in this video which I actually dislike. There is no season in Beast Quest which I actively hate. There's a few which I don't like as much as others, but I don't. It doesn't mean I don't. It doesn't mean I hate it. It just means, hey, I prefer the other seasons more than these ones. But let's get into this. So, I'm already going to make enemies here. For 5th place for the most overrated season is Season 2, The Golden Armor. Now, I would argue Season 2 is an overrated season because it is obviously one of the most popular seasons, and at one point my favourite. The reason why I'm saying it's overrated is because the story is a rehash of Season 1, going around a kingdom to fight a bunch of beasts. You can argue that's the same with every single one, with a different bit of a different change of cycle. Instead of releasing the beast from an evil enchantment, it's to defeat the beast that's guarding a segment of the Golden Armor. Hence why it's called the Golden Armor. I like the story, I do, but the beasts, they drag down the series a lot, and it's the reason why it's not my favourite season anymore, and I would say it's just an average season. Claw and Arachnid and Zephyr, maybe Vipero, are the main culprits. They are nowhere near as good as Trillian and Sultra, and it kind of ruins the great standards which I was expecting from Season 2 with a great story. The Beast pulled it down, and lots of people still like it, still think it's the best season ever. I personally think it's overrated because of the Beast not being that great. I'd argue Season 1 had better beasts, and that's saying something. Right, 5th underrated. We'll be showing the underrated books on this side and the overrated on that side. 5th underrated is Season 25, The Prison Kingdom. Now, with Season 25, it's basically going into a kingdom to rescue Prince Rosu. Kind of like a rescue mission. battling beasts along the way. The reason why some people do not like it is the story being very similar to what we've seen before. I can't think of what the series is from the top of my head because I don't think there is a season that's similar to the story, apart from maybe season 5. But that is a very large stretch. And some people do not really like the beasts. Granted, Acorta and Diprox here are mediocre, but they're not terrible. They're actually high-end okay. Then there's Galarki, who's a great beast. I honestly really like him. Has great abilities and such. And Lycaxa. Do I need to go into Lycaxa? Runner-up of the new generation Battle of the Beasts tournament. I may be showing some bias here, but all the beasts are actually quite good. Heck, Acorta's a monkey beast, and I'm saying it's good. The story I think is quite good actually. Whilst it's nowhere near the best story, I think I know what the best season of Beast Quest with the story is. And for me, best story in Beast Quest, that'll probably be season 5. There are others which have great stories, but season 25 has a good story. And whilst it is overshadowed by series 24 and 26, two of the most popular seasons of recent Beast Quest times, obviously this one's going to disappear back in the shadow. Well, I am going to pull it out of the shadow and say this season is quite good and arguably better than most of the other seasons. I would say it's in the middle when putting all the seasons together, but I'll argue it's on the top half of all the seasons. Now for fourth overrated, oh dear. Oh dear. Season 3. The Dark Realm. I'm afraid season 3 is an overrated season. The story compared to the Golden Armor is not as good compared to season 2 and 1. In my opinion anyway. It's going to another kingdom to rescue the good beasts which have been trapped there and fight beasts which, in my opinion, from just looking at them and the beasts that they trapped, the season 1 beasts can just beat easily. I mean, come on. Tagus and Torgor, granted Torgor might actually win that, but Tagus isn't the best Centaur beast. Epos was trapped by Score. Epos would easily win. Tusk Inferno. Wait, no. Score Inferno, Tusk and Epos. Okay. Nanook and Cayman. Sephiron and Naga, Arcta and Sting. Like, the season 1 beasts can beat any of these ones easily. There are the beasts, well, Torgor, Score and Tusk aren't that great. I'd argue the worst of those 3 is Torgor, and I can't believe I said Tusk isn't the worst. I do have a bit of disdain for Tusk, but the other 3 beasts aren't that great. They're good, but just not brilliant. And to go along with a rather mediocre story, I don't think it deserves as much love as it gets. Now, whilst I'm aware this is Year Unknown's favourite season of Beast Quest, I am afraid to say that this is nowhere near my favourite. Whilst I respect your opinion, I'm hoping you can respect mine when I say I think this is overrated. And I think Season 2 is... I know Season 2 is someone else's favourite, but I do not remember whose. I think I know who it is, and if it is who I think it is, I'm sorry. I look forward to our collaboration later today. It's not Lucas, his favourite season 5, I believe. Moving on to fourth underrated, season 9. Season 9, The Warlock's Staff. To be fair, season 9 is the season directly after one of the most unpopular seasons of Beast Quest, season 8. With arguably one of the worst stories. But season 8 story is okay. The beasts are fantastic. Season 9, the story is a hell of a lot better. And so are the beasts. Heck, I'd argue Karaka, Silver, Spikefin, and Torpix are the main beasts that are great. Ursus, granted, not that good. Minos, just mediocre. But they're all great beasts. Season 9 is only dislikes because it's directly after season 8, which is notoriously known for being bad. And I think it doesn't deserve this kind of streak, because season 9, I personally believe, is a lot better than season 8. I know there's a few people in the community that agree with me, whilst I also know there's going to be some people in the community which disagree with me. But coming from my opinion, season 9 is a fun adventure where Tom and Alina needs to go through a land with no beasts, close to none, and stop Malvel from getting to the Eternal Flame with the Warlock's Staff, where he shall become immortal. It's a fun story. Plus, you get to see Malvel's henchman Petra kind of transfer from villain to anti-hero, which I'm surprised isn't talked about more often, because I think is a good twist of fate, I guess. But yeah, the beasts are actually quite good. The story is much better than season 8. The only reason why it's dislikes is directly after season 8. But yeah, season 9 does not deserve the hate it gets. On to third most overrated. This is probably the most surprising entry for those of you who've been watching my channel for a while. Third most overrated, season 6. Now, I do not believe I actually am saying this, but season 6, in my opinion, is incredibly overrated. It is the continuation of season 5, which ended on a very good cliffhanger, and it's a continuation of the story where Tom's trying to rescue Freya. It's I guess the best way of saying it is that it's a downgrade from season 5, because season 5 had good beasts at the start, mediocre in the middle, but great at the end. For season 6, it's okay start, okay middle, good end, but that's on the second half of the end. Like that, this one is the only good beast in the entirety of season 6. Komodo, Muro, Fang, Merc, and Terra, I sometimes forget about. I had to actually reread them just to find out their abilities, and I don't remember anything about them which really stands out and makes me like them. The only one which I remotely remember every now and then, apart from Vespic, is Komodo when he beat Convul in the old generation tournament, or Terra for his terrifying art style in his book. But that's it. The story, I think, kind of fell flat in season 6 on the continuation, and I personally do not understand why it's so popular, because there's only one good beast and a mediocre continuation from a story. It pains me to say it, because that was one of my favourite seasons. But no, I've opened my eyes, and now it's just mediocre. Third underrated is actually third underrated season is season 7, The Lost World. This one suffers from being a forgettable series between what is a rather popular season, being Series 6, and the most unpopular season, being Series 8. This one just happens to suffer the short end of the stick from being sandwiched between two seasons, which arguably started the so-called downfall of Beast Quest. For me, the downfall started in season 16. Season 7, though, I think is actually a tremendous season. We'll start with the story. It's technically a continuation of season 6, where our heroes travel to Varnia, trying to help out the local wizard there, so he can get them home. And it ends on such a shallow victory note because Silver doesn't actually come back to Avantia in the finale, which is why I kind of like it, because it ends on a bittersweet moment. We'll go to the beast now. Well, we'll start with the negative one first. Hellion. Hellion is probably the worst beast of the season, but he's still a good beast. Not for story-wise, but the fact that his abilities and the fact he's just a giant human person on fire, that's a bit of a stretch. A giant fiery beast. He kind of has an automatic advantage in Battle with the Beast because no one can touch him unless they extinguish his flame. Convolve is an okay beast. I grew to appreciate it. My appreciation for it actually grew from the other 4 beasts in this season being a hell of a lot better. Crestor, runner-up of Old Generation. Carnivora, a semi-finalist. Madara and Elik, both of them amazing beasts with great abilities. And if it comes down to having to pick an order for how I'd rank those 4 beasts, I have a top 2 being Carnivora and Crestor. But for Madara and Elik, I'm not so sure on. If I was to give just have to give a ranking, I would probably say Madara at 3rd place, because that running joke I had in the early days of my channel, where there's a white cat standing outside every time I talk about Madara, kind of made me grow for appreciation towards Madara. Elik, I just love beasts with lightning powers. What can I say? That's a bit hypocritical because I don't like Thoron, but a lightning beast has to be done very precisely. But the beasts, back to season 7, the beasts are all great. And each of them show a unique attribute which makes them good, which makes them great, because all of these beasts are apparently being fought in the terrain where they're not really built for. Madara is meant to be in a wintry terrain like Carnivora. Carnivora is meant to be in a Central Plains roughly terrain. Crestor, water terrain, fought in the mountain area. Hellion, well, we all know it's not meant to be a forest. Convolve, that is debatable, because I would argue a desert is where he's meant to be fought, but no, apparently not. As he's a crocodile or alligator, I'd argue maybe the jungle, but I'm not entirely sure. Elik is a mystery, but I'll probably say the forest. If that's the case, Hellion's probably the desert then. Each of these beasts are in the wrong area where they're fought in, and I think it's great that they still put up a very good fight against Tom. Not to mention, I think season 7 is the season where the beasts' designs actually start getting good. Then it takes a downfall after series 15, but a story for another day. Second most overrated season, in my opinion, Season 18, The Trial of Heroes. Now, this is probably the most biased placement I can have, because even though Season 18 has a similar story to Season 13, and the beasts don't really seem as impressive as Season 13, Season 13, I'd argue, is also overrated, because it's one of the most popular seasons. However, I'm going to put Series 18 here, because Series 18 is also very popular. Some would argue that Series 18 did better than Series 13 with the story, with a competition involved in it. I did not like the side characters in it. Amelia grew... I admit, Amelia did grow on me, but that's in Verak. Dre, I don't really care for. The main villain I didn't care for. The Beast, well, Krytor and Drogan I wasn't that excited for, because Fang and Claw 2.0. Sawara I was looking for, but was a massive disappointment. And Carixa, the only shining gem out of Series 18, didn't really reach my standards which I was expecting. And then Carixa dies in round 1 of Battle of the Beasts, but we all know who to. But if you ask me, Series 18 has lackluster beats, very disappointing, and the story is an immediate rip-off of Series 13, which did its story very well. So yeah, Season 18 is second overrated. Second place for underrated is, I reckon if Lucas did this video, this would probably be his number 1 for underrated, because Series 15, Velmao's Revenge, is a very underrated season. The story is fantastic. It's pretty much Tom and Alina going round Tangala to reclaim the Queen Aroha's prized possessions, so Avantia and Tangala do not break their truce, and an everlasting war will not continue. And it had high stakes, but it wasn't world ending. It was kingdom ending, which isn't as serious as world ending stakes, but it's still a very high stake, because it can lead to a war which will probably never end. Which is a good story, good plot, and the beasts, all of them are great. I like all 4 of these beasts. Xeric is arguably probably the worst in this series now, but that's because my affinity for Wardog has grown a lot throughout New Generation Battle of the Beasts. Plexor I've always loved, and Quagos, better version of Blood Bowl from Season 8. I do not know why this series is probably very unpopular, but I think it's to do with the fact that the beasts don't really look interesting. But if you give them a chance and read them, learn about their abilities, see the fight, and get captivated with the story, it's a great season. And I honestly think this one deserves a lot more respect than it does in the community. Whilst I would say it's probably a mediocre season compared to others, it's still rather unpopular. I would see some people just say, Series 15, a very forgettable season, nothing much happens there, nothing that can change the world if they failed. Yes, it could. Yes, it can. Heck, it even had a anti-hero at the end of it, being Prince Rotu, which we saw from Season 25 got brought back. Ooh. But yes, Series 15 is the second underrated season. Okay, now with number 1 on overrated and underrated, it was a tough choice putting together the list, But for both overrated and underrated, I knew which books had to be number one because both of them have relatively good stories and relatively good beasts. However, one is overpopular, one is underpopular. And the one that's very popular doesn't deserve as much love as it gets, and the one that's not as popular deserves a hell of a lot more love. So we're going to go to the most overrated season of Beast Quest. This entry may surprise Lucas because I started out as a fan of this series, but I'll explain why it's now a mediocre season to me. So number one on my most overrated is Season 12, The Darkest Hour. Now, with Season 12, a main problem which most people... the main reason why most people love this season is, I'll start things off with a story. Gwildor, Caonia, and Avantia are colliding into each other, and if that happens, the world ends. This is the world-ending threat, which has happened before, where Season 15 was a kingdom-ending one. Its consequences can be severe if Tom and Lena lose the quest, and it should get more and more intense towards the end of the season to hook the reader in. However, from a story perspective, this is what Lucas would think, and I believe he's said multiple times. The whole plot of the kingdoms colliding kind of feels like it gets dropped towards the end of the series, to where it's just a regular old quest. And it's just not... You don't feel the stakes, you don't feel the tension, and it's not worth being invested because whilst you know it's a world-ending threat, it doesn't feel like it. And on my perspective, the beasts, all of them look great when I did my beast review. But now, after I've done 27 beast reviews, I can safely say this series of beasts is probably the most forgettable set, because none of them stand out very well. Kamar, I guess, stands out being the one that doesn't show their face very often, and also being the human spider kind of thing. Merca, fire and ice mixed in together, you would expect that to be remembered. No. Vigrash, the first griffin beast. You remember it when you see Raptex. That's not a good thing. Whilst Raptex is a good griffin beast, I'd argue better than Vigrash. I wouldn't say remembering Vigrash just for seeing Raptex is a good thing. Isrillia, arguably some of the greatest abilities and the best looking beast here. I forgot this beast's abilities and fight after I'd done Series 25's beast review. So I'm just like, what did this one do again? Kajin and Solak. Well, whilst they had the tension that you're supposed to be feeling from this series, it doesn't have beasts that feel like it should show this tension. And that's why Season 12 has lackluster beasts, which are very forgettable. The story has very high stakes, but doesn't feel like it. And yet, most of the community loves it. I know Lucas isn't a fan of this. I can say now, I've woken up Lucas. This season is low-end good, and it's only better than one other season in the old generation to me. But that's story-wise. In beast-wise, I don't really know. But what I can say to really to say why I believe this is an overrated season is because I hear so much praise on how great of a series ender this would be. But the beasts are forgettable. The story doesn't really grip me, because it kind of loses itself in the middle. And I can go on. I don't think this deserves the amount of popularity it has. And I think the popularity this series has should be swapped with the popularity that my number one underrated season has. And hopefully the cult members watching this, because Series 21, in my opinion, The Sorcerer's Revenge, is the most underrated season of Beast Quest. And where this season, along with a video from Jack Griffin and also Year Unknown, they kind of inspired me to make this video. Go and check them out, by the way. They are worth a watch. They're Beast Quest YouTubers trying to make a name for themselves in the community. And I wish you guys the best of luck, by the way. Thank you for inspiring me to do this video, by the way. But Series 21 has a great story, which is arguably world-ending, with world-ending stakes, where Malvel is trying to open up the gates to the Netherworld and unlock monstrous beasts to pretty much destroy every kingdom in the world. And to kind of add on to that, the beasts that are shown in this season range from good to fantastic. Greymon is, in my opinion, the weakest beast in this season, but with the cult leader, as I'm sure he might comment on this video, he makes his point in saying there are a group of people, or people in the Beast Quest community, which are like this beast, and I will respect that. Hello. Whilst I don't see the appeal of it, other people do. It is arguably one of the most destructive beasts in this season. Probably the most destructive beast this season. It has the wish and the determination to just eat the sun, envelop the world in darkness. And now it's the debut book of this series. Like, if that's the debut book, we got some work to do, because if a beast that monstrous wants to that has a goal that fierce, it can only get better. And for me, it does. Skra, Tyrantix, and Lipida are all fantastic beasts. Whilst I may have not thought much of them in my beast review, looking back, I can safely say I was wrong, because all three of them have incredible abilities, are a big improvement over their predecessors in their kind of group. Tyrantix being the best spider-looking beast, compared to Arachnid and Kamar. Skra being a chimera, being better than other chimera-like beasts. Arguably worse than Raksha, I'll give you that. But it's still a good chimera beast. And Lipida, insect beasts on that perspective, not the best, but nowhere near the worst. Lipida probably is... every inch of Lipida is deadly sharp, even her wings. And I think that's worth giving this series a read, because all the beasts have great designs, good abilities. Sorry, but Grymon's probably the worst with abilities. And the fights, all of them, I'd argue, are great. Even Grymon's. I did not mean this video just to make jabs at Greymon, by the way. But if you understand what I'm trying to say, Series 21 is only hated because it's sandwiched between Series 20, The Isle of Ghosts, a series which I also think is overrated, just not too overrated to be added onto this list, and Series 22, which is very popular, and arguably a little underrated. Because I think it deserves some love because it's a great season. But if I was to add, if I was to make a top 10 overrated and underrated seasons of Beast Quest, you can bet Series 20 will be on overrated and Series 22 will be on underrated. But I'm not doing that though, because I don't really. I think talk about 5 books on each side is more than enough, and I think these 5 books on either side represent the most overrated and the most underrated. Whilst some people may disagree with my opinion, at the end of the day, it's my opinion. And no one's opinion is facts. So with that, I'll end the video asking, which season do you think is most overrated, and which season do you think is most underrated? Leave the answer in the comments below. I would definitely read them, and I'll give my response to them. If you explain why, then maybe we can have a good discussion. But until then, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press the little notification bell down in the corner below, and I'll see you next time.